Good afternoon, Blackbird Pond Group. How are you today? All right, we are on chapter 7. I have two dogs that are trying to attack me right now. We are on chapter 7, and on this chapter, William Ashby comes to call on Kit. What does it mean at this time to call on? What does it mean? It says he comes a calling, he comes a courting. What does that mean? Did you say dating? Yep, that's right. So he is interested in Kit, and what is one thing that he says in that chapter that Kit doesn't catch on to until after he leaves, but the rest of her family's kind of gotten it. What does he say that shows everybody that he really is interested in marrying Kit, that he wants her to be his wife? Yeah, that's right. Things are a little bit different at this time. Men and women didn't just go on a date. He didn't say, hey, come on, let's go to the show on Friday night. They went to the house so that everything was proper. Everything, they were always chaperoned. You didn't have to worry about anything being improper. Now, Kit says at the very beginning of the chapter that he didn't hardly speak. He comes, he has his white gloves on his lap, his cinnamon jacket, his dress shirt. He's all dressed up for her. And he just kind of sits there very quietly, very nervously, and nothing's said. And she is just like, oh my goodness, this is the worst day ever. Is this ever going to end? Well, then John Holbrook comes, and her Aunt Rachel says, hey, let's pop some popcorn. And she says there's something about that popcorn that just kind of made everybody loosen up. Now, why is that? What happened when John came in? What happened that caused everybody just to kind of calm down and start visiting? Because she talks about how then her uncle started asking William questions, and William started talking more openly and more freely. What did that popcorn do? What did it create? Have you ever noticed that in a get-together? Maybe people are a little bit nervous, but for some reason, once the food comes out, we all seem to calm down a little bit and relax a little bit. Yeah, that's kind of how it is. It's just, that food for some reason makes us a little bit more relaxed. And she says that's what it did on her calling date with William, for lack of a better word. Well, she says that he mentions in there that his father, they've cleared some trees off because he's starting to build his house, and they're going to build it out of oak. Now, oak is very symbolic. What type of a wood is oak? What would you say? I hope you said strong. So they want the foundation of their home. He wants his foundation to be strong. So he's cutting it out of this white oak is kind of what he says. And then we learn that he's been appointed to a distinguishing post. And then they start talking politics. The one thing they tell you not to talk about really at the dinner table or with strangers is politics, but they do. And William makes the point. He says, no, sir. Or Matt asked William, he says, are you afraid to anger the king? And William says, no, sir, but we cannot hope to hold out against him. If we submit to his governor now without a struggle, are we not more likely to retain for ourselves some rights and privileges? By provoking anger, we may lose them all. And I'm on page 70. What do you think? Do you agree with William's assessment or disagree? Now remember, this is before the Revolutionary War. What are you thinking? Discuss. I hope you're discussing. Okay. So make sure you put your opinions in the document as well as backing up those opinions. Don't just tell me you think he's right or he's wrong. Tell me why you think he's right or he's wrong. So if you need to pause it again, pause it again. Well, then it goes on to say, Kit could scarcely believe her ears. William Ashby was neither speechless nor dim-witted. He even dared stand up to her uncle. With new respect, she moved Pat to pass him the wooden bowl of popcorn, and to it she added a smile that caused him to lapse into a scarlet-faced silence. Why is she finding this newfound admiration to William? That's right. He's finally kind of coming out of his shell and learning to talk, and he's not being disrespectful. So, guys, don't think that you have to be disrespectful to your girlfriend's father in order to make her like you. No, 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 no. That's not what he's saying. He's saying that, he's not afraid to stand his ground, but he does so in a respectful way. And Matthew, we learn later on in the chapter, Judith says, well, that's his father, and everybody knows him. Matthew's kind of that curmudgeony, grouchy old guy who's very opinionated, and everybody knows that. So they argue a little bit. Matthew ends up leaving because he is upset. And then the clock chimes and it's only 8 o'clock, and she said, it has only been 1 hour. That was the longest hour of my life. Can you relate to Kit? Have there been times, talk about times when you've been with somebody where it's just, time seems to slow down? Did you talk about some? Okay, so they're talking and they're visiting, and he leaves, and then Mercy and Judith remind Kit that he has definitely showed her his intentions. I tell her, I apologize, tell her that he's going to be back next Saturday night to come courting. Because Judith or Kit was all, well, I'm glad that's over with. And they said, yeah, until next Saturday when he comes back again. And she's like, what? This was awful. What do you mean he's coming back? They said, well, he's made his intentions known. He has chosen you. Now, notice they don't ever mention that Kit has a say in this, that Kit has a choice. It is just, he's chosen you, so whether you like it or not, and they say that on the bottom of 77, whether you like it or not, Kit, William is going to come courting. So her opinion does not matter. Why is it that her opinion does not matter? Think of the time period you are in. Did women have a lot of rights? Did they have a lot of say? Okay, now ladies in the group, how would you feel about this? If you had no say in who was allowed to come and ask you out or come courting or who you were going to marry, that was pretty much determined for you by your father and the men in your life. Yeah, I don't know if I would like that. And I can guarantee you, my girls would not like it. They probably would disagree with the choice we made. So, yes. Judith goes on to say, Kit's saying, I don't want him to come. We don't talk. We don't have anything in common. She's kind of looking beyond surface level. Well, Judith says, seems to me you're pretty choosy, snapped Judith. Don't you know William is able to build the finest house in Wethersfield if he wants to? Does he have to keep you amused as well? What does Judith value in a husband? What does she value in a relationship? I have a feeling some of you called her a gold digger, right? Yeah, and that's exactly what Judith is. She's looking at the financial gains of it. That, you know what? This is what he values, or this is what's important, is the fact that he can build a nice house, he can take care of me, he's got a lot of money. Kit right now is looking at it as, I want somebody that I can talk to, that I can have a conversation with, somebody that I actually like. That's what she's valuing right now, and Judith does not. Why do you think it is that Judith does not value this, but Kit does? Does that make sense? Why does Judith value money over relationship? Discuss. Are you back? Okay, well, I know that you had a good discussion over that, but then look at the end of the chapter. Judith or not Judith, Kit has spent all week kind of thinking about what's going on, pondering the whole deal, and she keeps messing up the house chores. She doesn't know how to work with the wool. She doesn't know how to cook. She doesn't know any of these jobs that she dubs slave labor. So at the end of the chapter, she says, at the very last of the chapter, she said, William Ashby was the only person in Wethersfield who did not expect her to be useful, who demanded nothing, and offered his steady admiration as proof that she was still of some worth. No wonder she found herself looking forward to Saturday evening. Well, what has changed as the week has gone on? At the beginning of the week, she didn't want him to come. But as Saturday gets closer, she wants him to come. What is changing in Kit? Now, notice she had said in there that there was proof that she was still of some worth. What does she mean by that? Why does she need proof she was still of some worth? How is that kind of a human characteristic? Do we all need to feel that we are useful and worthwhile? What does it do to a person when they're not, or when they don't feel that they are? Now, here's my challenge. How do we help others to see their worth? She's feeling useless because she can't do any of these jobs, and so she kind of feels like a fish out of water, so to speak. She doesn't know how to do them. It's taking her a while to learn. She's not exactly in the most patient of company. I mean, Mercy is patient, but Judith definitely isn't, and Matthew certainly isn't. So it's been a hard transition for her. Think of other people in our lives that we meet where they're learning something new or they're transitioning to something new. How do we ensure that they understand it's okay to make mistakes, yourself included? It's okay to make mistakes. The point is we just keep trying and working, and that still makes us worthy and valued as human beings. Discuss that. Why is that an important concept that all human beings? And then I want you to discuss what you think, based on your discussion so far, what do you think the theme of The Witch of Blackbird Pond is? Now notice we haven't met some important characters yet. But I want you to kind of start thinking about what message you are getting from the novel, what message Spear is trying to send us. All right, guys, you have a great rest of the day. Enjoy it. It's a beautiful Sunday evening here. Hopefully we have a great week. See you later.